Of this unit is talking about distinct and separate biomes, and I am going to record each biome that we're introducing to you as a separate slide. So there's going to be a lot of little slides for a big portion of this unit. So our first biome that the book talks about for you is our tropical rainforest, and so I'm got a map for you for each of these biomes as we're talking about that. Here you can see that the tropical rainforest is predicated as it sits right on the equator. That equatorial region means we're going to get the same amount of sunlight every day. Very little variance by only a couple of minutes every day. So but that sunlight is generating a lot of evapotranspiration, a lot of evaporation. That's going to produce a cloud base. That cloud base then in this low pressure zone, the intertropical convergence zone, is going to then result in a lot of precipitation. Now remember that 30% of all energy is transferred through the water cycle. So even though the clouds are going to inhibit a lot of sunny days and we're not going to get full penetration of sunlight, we're going to get that transfer of sunlight through the hydrological cycle. So we're going to rain that moisture out. So this is a really high biodiversity zone, as you probably know. But it's diverse because it's getting a lot of daily sunlight, 12 hours more or less every day, and it's getting a lot of water more or less every day. But the structure of this diversity is vertical, and I'll show you that in the next slide here. So high energy input, both by water and by sunlight. This means that we've got lots and lots of niches. It's how a plant or animal then moves that around. So it's its own little job in the ecosystem. So they're really, really specialized here. Because when you have a specialization of anything, when there's a lot of resources available, each individual, and this works for economies as well, for those of you who are management students or economic majors, when you've got a lot of input of resources, you can afford to have a lot of specialty items and a lot of specialty performing individuals. When we lose that resource, energy in this case, then you've got to be more of a generalist. You've got to do a variety of different things. So here in this ecosystem, each organism is very, very specialized in where it's located and what it can accomplish. So these biomes are sort of broken up into about 6 layers. So the diversity is vertical. So at this top, this sort of orangey pink coral color, we've got 100% sunlight that penetrates the cloud mass, comes in and hits this zone right here. At the same time, the precipitation that's going to rain, 100% of it's going to be captured right here. So the tolerance and the limits here is you've got to tolerate higher volumes of sunlight and higher volumes of moisture. And so these organisms are specialized through here. So you're not going to find birds and insects and maybe some mammal species or reptiles that are going to be in this next layer down. All right. If you do, then they're a little bit more adapt between these two zones. So we've got what we can consider is its own little ecosystem right through here. E.O. Wilson, which is an ecologist, spent much of his life only looking at the ecosystem of one tree, or one tree species, I should say. It was so robust and dynamic, and that tree species was different than the neighboring tree and tree species. So keep that in mind. So we come down, we lose some of that moisture because we're underneath the tree canopy here. So that moisture gets captured by these leaves, and then those leaves are going to transfer it down the branches, and then the branches are going to pull it down the trunk. So moisture is being transferred this way. Few of it penetrates as rain through this part of the forest here. So these species are a little more adapt to less moisture. This canopy also blocks the sunlight, so there's less moisture coming or sunlight coming through here. So if we said this is 100%, we may get 80% sunlight and maybe 80% moisture in this zone. So very different range of tolerance here, so which means we're going to have different species. The same characteristics fall as we move down this ecosystem structure. So if we had 80 here, we may be down to 60. 60% sunlight penetration, 60% moisture penetration. Come down a little further, we're maybe now down at 40, down at 20. Down here, we're really, really dark. We're not getting a lot of sunlight whatsoever, but remember, all of this moisture is finding its way down these tree trunks, and the bottom here is really lush with moisture. So we have a high moisture volume down here. It's dark, but it's wet. All right, so this is the nature of the structure. It's vertical zonation, all right, guys?